today, I thought it would be fun since we did a lot of more serious delving into deep episodes of universe recently, to do just a fun kind of lighthearted game about the show. And the idea is kind of inspired by tier ranking, but it's not a tier ranking. It's more of a categorization. Basically, I had Martin, who has been a guest on our show before, pick quotes, about 15, I would say. I didn't look how many there were, but I told him about 15-ish there. And we're going to go through them and sort them into different categories. And I did not reveal to him the categories. I just told him to pick the quotes because I did not want him to be influenced by what we might be trying to sort it into, because then maybe he would pick things that would go into those things.
Yeah.
But there's five different categories, and so we're going to go through these quotes and see which one we think fits. And so I will just say them out loud. Classic SG humor, so deep, only true Stargate fans will understand. Context is important, and signs that we are actually the fifth race. So we're going to go
Okay.
through these and we'll each try and sort it into the category we think fits it the best. And of course, this is our opinion. Nothing's right or wrong. And for people following along, we would love to hear you say which categories that you would put these quotes into. Of course, we'll put the categories in the description, maybe pin a comment with the categories in it and also the quotes so that you can also categorize them yourself.
Yeah, totally. That would be cool to hear other people's thoughts too. Maybe they'll just think we're completely wrong.
Yes, exactly. So I will start with the first quote. I will read it, and then maybe you can categorize first, and then I will also say. So both of us will say every time.
Okay.
And we will have different. Okay, so the first quote is, "Undomesticated equines could not remove me."
Oh my gosh. That could be multiple categories here.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I feel like it's definitely it could be considered as like classic SG humor. But then at the same time, context may be important. And then yeah, it could be actually honestly all of these categories except for so deep, I think. So, but I think instantly what I thought was classic SG humor is what I thought.
Yes, me too. Me too. Because I kind of vacillated between two, classic SG humor and only true SG fans will understand. But I
Mhm.
thought that it's actually a little bit, I mean, I don't think it's so intense that I would imagine if you're watching it just lightheartedly, you would recognize that as, oh, this is the classic flavor of the humor of the show. And I think that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, yeah,
So I would
yeah,
go with classic SG humor.
yeah, totally. We should have asked him to put like what episodes these were from because I don't remember. I guess it doesn't really matter, but yeah.
Yes,
But
and I mean, I
anyways.
think I think maybe I can also look and put it in the description, but I think part of the
Okay.
idea is we also don't know where is from because then we can also determine if context is important. Um,
Right, right. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is, oh, for crying out loud.
this one immediately came to my mind, and that is only true SG fans will understand.
Yes, I agree. I agree. That's instantly what I thought because immediately it's like you're thinking of Jack, right? I think it's usually
Right.
Jack that says that. I mean, I think there's been a few times as a joke they've had Carter say that. It's almost like she picked up the habit from him. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's Jack's phrase basically.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like something that's so tied to the character, whereas the first one, undomesticated equines cannot remove me. I think that's more, it is something Tilk would say that you under like so you could almost go that direction, but I think it's more of like the classic humor. This one, it could be out of context. I mean, everybody says for crying out loud. And I think
Yeah.
out of context would mean something very different and outside of Stargate. So that's where I think, yeah, a true Stargate fan would hear this and think something different. I mean, this is how like I think specific this is because most people that are listening to this will not understand this, but you and I will both understand exactly when I say you are something but not nothing.
Oh no.
It's like, oh, for
Yeah.
crying out loud, like, so it's like when we hear that, we feel differently than the average person. Just like when we hear, anytime I hear, oh, for crying out loud, I think of Stargate.
Yeah.
But
So in a sense, it's kind of like an inside joke. It's kind of like you get it once you've watched a decent amount of episodes of Stargate, and it gives a certain feeling when you hear that, like, kind
yes,
of like with our little inside joke that we don't really need to go into.
exactly. That's the whole point of it, that nobody who's
Yeah.
watching this knows. And if you do know, please like tell on yourself in the comments, because then I know you're coming from a very specific fandom.
Yeah.
The next quote, ooh, this one could get interesting. In the middle of my backswing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I hesitated because I by accident pressed Siri for a second. And so your
Oh,
voice is so weird. Oh my God. Hopefully that doesn't like play in the recording. I don't think it would. But just in case it did, maybe just repeat the quote
okay.
just in case I have to edit that out.
Maybe that quote activated Siri. In the middle of my backswing.
Oh, okay. So that again, I would think would be only true SG fans will understand.
I would put that. I mean, I think you could say only true SG fans would understand, but for some reason, I'm leaning a little bit towards context is important.
Yes, after I said that, I was eyeballing that category too.
But I truly think you're right. I think it could be either because it's
Yeah,
another one of those things. If you, I mean, obviously any Stargate quote, if you approach an SG, a true SG fan, they'll be like, yeah. But it's one of those things where I feel like it's a little bit more specific, the quote,
yeah,
but the context of it is kind of important. So that's where I would go. I would be curious if somebody else would put it in a completely different category.
yeah, yeah,
Because that
yeah,
is it's one of the more for Stargate fans, I think it's one of the more quoted things just because it's from such a popular episode. It's kind of a fan favorite episode.
yeah.
Oh, the
I
next,
have oh,
what? You have
sorry,
a
go
feeling
ahead.
what?
I just have a feeling a lot of these will kind of fit into like a lot of these will probably kind of fit into a few categories as opposed to all the categories that are there, I think, just because
Hmm.
like a lot of them have to almost kind of be recognizable by Stargate fans. It's kind of like either that or context is important kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, the next one was Indeed. So what would you categorize that as?
I would probably put for this one similar to Oh for Crying Out Loud, only true SJ fans will understand, just because it's such a normal thing to say. And I
Yeah.
think people say that it's like one of those things very similar. You say that in conversation. If there are five people standing around and one person just happens to say indeed, and like three of them snicker, you know those three are Stargate fans, right? And the other person has immediately outed themselves as not a Stargate fan.
Yes. What's really bad, and I'm curious if this has happened to anyone else out there, is when you're around other people that aren't Stargate fans and someone says indeed, or yourself says indeed, and then you start laughing on your own.
Yep.
And
Okay.
people just think you're crazy because they're just like, what's so funny? And then if you try and explain it, they're just like, okay, I don't get it. Because I feel like that's something that's very special about fandoms in general.
Yeah.
Like when you're a fan of something that you kind of take a deep dive into like all of the stuff within that franchise or whatever, however you would put it. If people aren't into it at all or have never seen it, they just really have no clue. So they can't really react to like what you might find amusing or funny. And so I feel like Indeed is definitely one of those things that I feel like, and I'm curious, Alyssa, if how you feel living, because you live in Austria, right? But we're both from the US and I live in Scotland. And when I was in the US, I don't remember ever hearing people just naturally say indeed. Like if they were saying an indeed, it was because they're a Stargate fan and they're purposefully saying it. In Scotland, there actually has been quite a few times just in random conversation that I've heard people say indeed.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
survive that.
so
I'd be like,
every time I'm just like trying not to laugh or make some other teal reference. And so, I mean, I guess like it's kind of unfair to ask with Austria because you speak German there, right? But like if you're
yeah.
speaking with people that are speaking in English, have you ever came across people just naturally saying that?
I can't, I honestly can't remember, but I'm sure that, like, this is what happens to me if I read it in text. If I read Indeed in text, if anybody writes Indeed in any text, I read it like it's Tilk. Like that's
Yeah,
how I read it. And I can't help it. I can't undo that. That's just how it is for I'm
yeah.
curious if other Stargate fans it's the same thing. Like, do you always read it in the Tilk voice too, or is that just me? Like
Yeah,
you do
I
it?
always do.
Yes,
I always
yes.
do. And I also like run the risk of like actually putting on the voice too. And like one time like and you know about this, but no one else would know about this. But like when I once did this speed dating thing, I was just kind of going to support my friend. And so I just kind of figured, okay, like to kind of survive this, I'll just be really stupid and I'll just try and see like how many like Stargate references I can make in conversation. And so Indeed was an easy one to do, right? Like, because someone's talking to you and you can easily say Indeed. And then there was a few times where I did like other Stargate like quotes or references. I tried to like get in there or somehow mention the show in some way. And yeah, then there actually was one person that like totally knew the show and mentioned something about Sam and Jack or something. But
So see, there you
they
go
they
though.
were a weirdo though. They were very weird, but
But truly, like think about how powerful that is. Just something like saying indeed and an understanding of this can actually potentially lead to people finding love or best friends or whatever. But I mean, I would like to know if anyone has ever had that experience that some Stargate quote or something brought them together.
they're just like at some networking event and across the room they hear someone say indeed.
And then they both
And then they
snicker and
just
they go
turn
away.
around. They're
And
just
then they
like,
go, oh,
oh,
you, another one like me.
yep, there you go. Of course. See, they should have like Stargate, like I don't know what you call it, like what it mixers, where like Stargate dating mixers. There you go.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Like a dating mixer. Yeah, they not do that for fandoms? Because that's such a good idea.
I don't know. Maybe we started something.
Yeah, like maybe we should. Maybe this is like this is a good idea. I like this. Okay. The next quote is things will not calm down, Daniel Jackson. They will in fact calm up.
Okay. So my initial reaction is context is important.
Okay, okay,
However, then there is the second category of only true SG fans will understand. So I think it kind
okay.
of fits into two, but that's the first one that I immediately thought of was context is important.
This is funny because what immediately popped into my head was classic SG humor.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking that mostly because like, okay, this is like a classic typical like line of, Teal'c not understanding Earth speak, being, like how they call bilingual, um, basically kind of thing. And that would be because he says a lot of things. I mean, it's similar to the undomesticated equine thing,
Yeah,
but
true.
you're right because context is like I also like I was also kind of thinking it could be more of a context is important.
Mhm.
But that's one of those. Some of these are
I,
very uncategorizable.
yeah. Oh my God, the next quote. Ah.
The next quote, you really have to say it like, because I can see it. You really have to say it like he says
Me, me,
it.
me, me, me.
It's like me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I couldn't remember how he said it. Oh my gosh. Wow. What category would that be? Like, what's your instant thought with
So for that one, I am straddling the line.
okay.
Yeah, straddling
Whoa. It's like you're
the
straddling
line.
what now, Alyssa? What are
Yeah,
you
I'm
straddling?
secretly doing the splits the whole time we're here because it's part of my stretching routine.
That'd
Um,
be crazy.
yeah, I should actually. That's a really good idea. I would get my splits back really fast. Um, I would put it between, okay, you know what? Is like my instinct went to, oh, only true SG fans will understand, but also context is important. But as soon as I thought that, I went, it's not really something that is so permeating, like Indeed or For Crying Out Loud, that only true fans would understand. Like it's kind of a classic thing. It's more of like context is important because in context of the episode, that's where that came through. So I don't know. What was your thinking?
Oh, yeah. After you explained it, I could see why that would probably be like the best category, I guess, like after you kind of talked through it. Um, yeah, I was trying to think. At first, I was thinking, well, classic SG humor, but then I was just like, yeah, but at the same time, it's very specific to that episode. And so I'm not sure. And so then I was thinking only true SG fans will understand because immediately, like, especially people that love Ergo, um,
True, true.
or
That makes
even people that don't love Ergo, um, would recognize that that's Ergo, right? Like I think, like for me, for example, some of these quotes I don't always like remember where they're from. Like the other one we had just done, the reason why like I was saying context is important is like I couldn't remember if that was like a weird like Oma de Sala like quote or something.
Oh, no, that's a good point. Because you're right, that could be an Oma de Sala quote. But I only remember it because I know Tilk said it and I remember
Yeah.
when. But
Yeah.
like
And
you're right.
after you mentioned Teal'c, then it's like, oh yeah, crap, he did say that. So but like at first I couldn't remember. But like my point being is for people that may be like me that don't always remember full on details of things with the show. Um,
Yep.
I feel like I always recognize, I may not think of the exact quote that Ergo may have said, but if I read it or someone says it, I would recognize that it was Ergo that said it.
True. Okay, okay. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I also
Yeah.
want to know, people that are watching, who's Urga a fan, who's not. I know it's a divisive episode. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah. I always think whenever like episodes are mentioned that many find quite funny, and then you get people that really don't like it, all that ever pops into my head, and I truly don't mean any, like I mean this in a funny way, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, people can like what they like, but all I think of is like Jack O'Neill talking about humor and and something about like a person with no humor, I can't remember like what he says fully, but
Mm.
like that's always that like goes into my mind like when like people seem to get really agitated about the funny episodes, because rightfully so, everyone has different things that they find funny, right?
Yeah.
And so my sense of humor, other people just, some people may not get it and will think like, oh, well, that's not funny. And then I might think something's not funny that they think is hilarious. So it's just the nature of being a human. But but I am always like surprised because of those like episodes being so loved and talked about and
Yeah,
people find
for
it
sure, for sure.
hilarious. I'm always surprised when I feel like it's the rare few that say that they don't like it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, in all fairness, like my daughter, Taylor, she hates that episode.
Really? That's
She,
funny because like my daughter Bala loves it.
yeah, yeah. Taylor hates it. Like she just said she found him really annoying.
I mean, I think he's supposed to be really annoying. Like that's
Exactly.
exactly. But It's funny. Okay, so I think you're thinking of when Jack said about the Shen in the episode where they were in the future and they met that race that kind of gave them the vaccines that made them infertile. He didn't like, I think the guy was called Borin or something.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. And he said, I don't trust anyone without a sense of humor,
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Exactly. Yeah.
which is true. Do you trust anyone without a sense of humor?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I don't trust anyone without a sense of humor. Um, okay, so the next one is you have been impregnated without copulation.
What is that from?
I know what it's from.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that. Um, I guess I would say because I don't remember what that's from at all. I would say context is important.
I know what it's from. It's when Vala was impregnated. And
Oh,
remember, they were saying, oh, you were impregnated without copulation. Can anyone think of any precedent for this? And then Silk's like, I know one, Darth Vader. Obviously, that's not the one everybody was thinking of, but um, I would also agree with you. Context is very important there because that could also be, again, taken the other way. Maybe we're talking
yeah.
about Darth Vader. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah. So then yeah, so you agreed then with the category. Um, what's the next one? I am absolutely fine. There is nothing Cruvis with me. Um, yeah, what would you think category wise?
I mean, obviously, it's the signs that we're the fifth race. But no,
Ah,
I actually would put that in classic SG humor, to be honest, um, because it's very, to me, that feels like kind of a classic thing because he's, it's from, I mean, obviously it's from this one where he gets the repository of the ancients downloaded into his brain. And it's actually a very serious situation because he could like die. But there's this cute humor injected that like lightens the situation. And I kind of
yeah,
feel like that's exactly what classic SG humor kind of is he's in
right.
this really serious circumstance, but they found this way to make it kind of funny because then he has this banter that goes off with Daniel about like, what? What did you just say? Cruvis, that's not a word. What? No, I didn't. Like, and it's very classic. So to me, that kind of really screams classic SG humor. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, immediately I thought only true SG fans will understand. Um,
True, true, true. Yeah.
but I do feel like some of these categories like can kind of combine. So it's
Yeah.
like it also is classic SG humor.
Hmm.
Um, and it is instantly recognizable, right? Like that's from Stargate. But I guess like at the same time, it's like thinking like when we're thinking of classic SG humor, I feel like that really only goes with like SG1 and Atlantis, because then I feel like
Mm,
universe is its own thing because like the way if they do humor in that, it's it's very, very different. I'm trying to even
yeah.
remember if there was much humor like in that one. But yeah, like if we're thinking of SG1 and Atlantis, it definitely is like very recognizable of that. But yeah, instantly, I guess I did think only true SG fans will understand because it's like whenever you say like the weird words like Cruvis or Fran, it's like immediately everyone's like, oh, that episode, with Jack. And it's kind of like funny how like that's another thing that people will regularly say or quote, sometimes just maybe not quite as much as Indeed, but like I have
Yes,
seen it
but
in like Stargate fan pages where it's like when people will comment, sometimes people will be funny and like use words from Stargate, and that is one of them. So I can see how then that relates to the humor. So yeah, I'm kind of torn, but my instant
yeah,
thought was SG fans will understand.
true, true, true. No, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
Um, it's my turn to read, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was just like, as in bocce.
Oh, um, again, I would say only true SG fans will understand. And it's the humor thing too, because that's typical like Jack humor, right? Like, because he's talking about ball and that, like, right?
Yes, ball, as in bocce.
um, yeah, I would say only true SG fans will understand.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me because I would kind of go. I mean, it is a little bit like this classic SG humor because he's kind of making light of a situation. So that was kind of, but that kind of also goes a little bit hand in hand with true SG fans will understand. Um, that's a tough one. It's funny, all of these are ending up funny, and there's not so many like so deep ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna say that I'll go with classic SG humor just because that's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is Supreme Commander.
Okay, the first thing that pops into my head there is context is important.
Very true, very true. It's so difficult for me because I feel like a lot of these I keep going to the same category. I keep thinking, oh,
Yeah.
only true SG fans will understand because it's very true for probably all of these that
Yeah,
like
true,
Stargate
true.
fans would understand it. Um, but but yeah, context is important with that.
Yes. I mean, I think that one is like I know that there's this level that like there's the humor behind it and the circumstance, but I think in like current today, this is definitely one of those things where context is important.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, indeed.
Um, and it's my turn.
Yeah.
I have spent 133 years worshiping false gods. No more.
Ooh, that that could maybe be the so deep category.
That was what went into my head too. I went, okay, you know what? That's so deep because that one actually is serious. Like that's where they're
Yeah.
talking about their fight against the Goa'uld and I think it was Braytek that said this, right?
Oh,
Braytek.
I thought it was Teal'c, but I guess that makes sense. Maybe it was Braytek.
Yeah, and to me, this is really it is part of the whole content and spirit of the show, and it's yeah, but not enough. It's not funny. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing funny about worshiping the Goa'uld. Just nah.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I was smiling because I saw the next quote.
oh,
In
you're
case
like,
you were wondering.
there's nothing funny about worshiping the Goa'uld. You're like,
I'm just like bad time to have my eyeballs see the next quote and then I'm just like awkwardly smiling. Um but yeah. Okay, so the next quote is my sidearm, I swear. So what category would you think that is?
classic SG humor.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like that's definitely like, yeah, that's classic SG humor. I feel. Um, I'm stuck on a glacier with MacGyver.
Again, I would say yeah, classic SG humor because I feel like they tend to like one of the things like Stargate does so well is make fun of themselves, and in a sense they're kind of
Yeah,
making fun of Richard Dean Anderson's character before the Stargate, and so I feel like that could fit into the category of classic SG humor.
yeah. No, I would agree. I would say, and this is something I have to say that I always appreciate about the show because there are a lot of science fiction shows that have a lot of cliches. And in everything like this, there's cliches. Okay, there is this document that I really love to read all the time, And maybe some people here that are like really into some other fandoms will know this, but it was the master list of role like RPG video game cliches. And it was like this really long document that had all these cliches like like you when you start the story there's an evil and it's been sealed away every 1,000 years people manage to seal it, but it pops up again, and guess what, it's 999 years and like 99 days or whatever since then, so it's about to come out, like, or some things like that, or like, if you start the game, like your parents will have died or something, like all these little cliches like that happen in
Yeah.
these type of games. There's always going to be someone that you meet that will steal your stuff and you have to get it back and then they will join your party, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like in science fiction, there's always this too. And I love that specifically because of the way that Stargate is and the way that it kind of approaches its humor, it can reflect on that in a way that's really organic. Like
Yeah.
some Goa'uld comes out and he says something, and O'Neill's just like, well, this is a cliche. And because, yeah, it is like, it is a cliche, but it's kind of cool that like they kind of recognize this. And so that's, yeah, I would agree that this is kind of one of those things. It's very, very SG.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Is it my turn to say
Mm-hmm.
one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I said it was easy, not wise.
Mm. What pops into my head? So deep.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is from, this quote?
No, I feel like I should know.
It's only because I think, let me just double check because I swore I saw this recently. I said it was easy, not wise. Um, yes, okay. It's when they're about to jump out of a plane. Like I think it's when they go. Um, I feel like it's in Watergate, but it's one where they're collaborating with the Russians. I think something's going on, and they
Okay.
have to jump out of the plane, and you have to pull the chute, right? And it's actually like, Jack says it's easy. Like you don't really have to do anything. I mean, pretty much the parachute does it to you. And Teal'c's saying, "This does not seem wise, O'Neill," because like it's actually not really that smart. I mean, it doesn't when you think about it. Like if you're not familiar with the whole idea of skydiving, it doesn't really
Yeah.
seem wise to jump out of a plane. And that's where O'Neill says, "I said it was easy, not wise." And so to me,
Ah,
like, I mean, it is a humorous circumstance and situation, but I also feel like it's this level of depth to it because I think there is some paradigms for that in a lot of aspects of life. And it's also kind of this way of, I said it's easy, doesn't mean it's smart, like that kind of thing. Like
yeah.
it's,
I think because of that now, I'm kind of thinking maybe context is important because I didn't know what it
mm,
was from. So it made it kind of tricky for me to know what category.
good
So
point. True,
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, the next one. This is mine, right?
Yeah.
You dare mock me.
I would say classic SG humor
Yeah.
because that's a Goa'uld, right? Saying that.
Right. And especially, I think what happens after that is, I mean, I don't know, maybe this happened more than once. I'm pretty sure what happens is O'Neill says, "Yes, I dare." Right?
So then would you agree with that category?
I would agree that's 100% classic SG humor. I have to say I mean, I know the Wraith I think were more serious, so
Hmm.
they picked on them a little bit, but not as much. But I always like I loved O'Neill's, what you would call it, insolence. You
Yes.
know, and I love that like he didn't take the Goa'uld as seriously as they took themselves, which
Yeah.
made us, I think, take the Goa'uld a little bit less serious. And I think, okay, I'm just curious your thoughts on this. Do you think that if there wasn't that aspect of kind of like picking on the Goa'uld for being like these cliche overdressed baddies and having this kind of attitude of like, well, yes, I dare. Do you think that we would have perceived the Goa'uld as more threatening and serious?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe, but I feel like they needed the humor there because
Exactly, right?
I feel like without the humor, it feels a bit ridiculous and
Mm-hmm.
theatrical. And that's one thing I have really noticed in some of the beginning SG1 episodes is some of like the guest actors they have on for like an episode that they're like some of the main people. Some of their styles of acting to me at least feel very theatrical compared to what you typically would see on a show.
Hmm.
But it works for the episode, but like because not all of them seem like that, and especially as you continue on, I feel like it
Right.
seems more of what we're used to typically seeing now in TV. Um, that I feel like with a lot of the Goa'uld, it like I could imagine those characters being on stage and acting in that same
True,
way
true,
and
true,
it would
true.
make sense. And so it's like I feel like normally there's a big difference with stage acting for that kind of thing versus TV and movie acting. And so I think it was necessary like to have that humor. I'm glad the humor was there.
Hmm.
Because I think that's a huge part of why so many people love Stargate and because you're able to watch these serious moments that don't feel as serious as they should. Um, and they also do that, in Atlantis in different ways. And I feel like Shepard, like I'm, currently rewatching Atlantis right now with my daughter, and uh, something I noticed that Shepard does sometimes with the Wraith is kind of do similar kind of like, you know, humor that I would imagine Jack kind of
Hmm.
doing like towards the Goa'uld, not fully in a similar way, but somewhat, it's kind of like they say things in times when it should be, especially at the Wraith, sometimes it might be quite terrifying and a
Hmm.
phrase will be
Yes.
said in a way that kind of lightens it a little bit. Um, but yeah,
No, I completely agree. Yeah, and I see most like I think all these are from SG1, but it would be interesting to take. It would actually be interesting to take specifically a collection from Atlantis and then specifically a collection from Universe to see in the categories because I have a feeling that Atlantis would actually be a lot more equally divided. Like I feel like in SG1 you're going to get a lot more of the classic SG humor
hmm
quotes. I have a feeling in Atlantis you would see a very more starting to get more equal distribution. Whereas I feel like with Universe, you would really skew more towards signs where actually the fifth race, so deep or context is important.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Because
for
there are,
sure.
I mean, I think, and I don't know, like, as I think about it, I mean, I've only really watched Universe through once. I'm almost done with it, but I haven't rewatched it to a point where you can start appreciating, because I think quotes are something that you really can't appreciate them necessarily to the full extent on the first watch.
Yeah,
It's something that you recognize with multiple viewings or as you get to know things, because it's actually also, you don't quite grasp the gravity of it when you're still learning the environment and the characters and the plot. It's like when you watch it again, you go, oh my gosh, that was funny. I mean, this is
yeah,
how all the time when I'm kind of rewatching it, or if I have it on while I'm like engraving a score, and I just hear something, and it's like it didn't make me laugh so hard, like when I was just watching it, because when you're paying attention to the plot, but then
yeah,
you're watching it after you know what happens, and it just makes you laugh, like you think it's very silly. So I think I don't know really any quotes so much from Universe, but I do feel like there's probably some that would get into that signs we're actually the fifth race kind of category.
yeah, for sure. So should I read this final quote?
Yes,
Okay.
because read the final quote because actually then I have one more and I'll explain why and
Okay.
you'll understand. Okay, so
So
read the
th this is a long one. It says a serpent guard, a Horus guard, and a Satesh guard meet on a neutral planet. There is a great deal of animosity and they are very tense. The serpent guard's eyes glow, the Horus guard's nose gleams, and the Satesh guard's nose dot 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 drips. um, yeah, so what would you say? What would you say for that one? What category would you think that would fit into?
I'm once again straddling classic SG humor and context is important, and I'll tell you why. Because the joke itself, like, I mean, obviously it's not really that funny. Like the joke,
Yeah,
it's intentionally not funny. But this is where
yeah,
context is important. The funny part is when Tilk says this and they all look at him like, that's the funny part. So I maybe more context is important.
yes, yep. You're very right on that. I would agree context is important because at first I immediately thought SG humor, but then I'm just like, but the reason I know of it being like SG humor is because of I'm remembering the context of that moment. And like, doesn't he also like do like a big awkward laugh afterwards and everyone just kind of
Yes.
stares at him? And I
He's
think
like,
that's the
ah.
yeah, and I think that's the first and maybe only time we've ever heard him have like almost like a big belly laugh.
Yes, exactly. But see, you're right. This is very different because if you think about it, undomesticated equines could not remove me. You don't need to know the context. You just think that's okay, that's funny. Teal'c's being ridiculous, like
Yeah.
saying something. He's being bilingual again. Um, but like this one, it is what happens around it that's funny. Like,
Yeah.
and if I just read that, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I think that is a very context is important one. I feel like in this sense, I wonder how many of my answers were polluted by things that occurred around the quote that I know because I know the quote.
Okay.
I wonder about that. I do wonder. Okay, but I have one final one for you, and you'll understand because a couple of days ago, I actually sent you this quote completely out of context and like without any prompting of anything. I'm just like, because that's what's funny about it, okay? And everyone will understand that's watching this because the quote is, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about it. What do you think?
Oh my gosh. So if I had to pick a category, like I honestly, truly, my mind, because this was in, so I want to clarify.
Okay,
My
quick.
brain was not in Stargate mode at all. We had been talking about all sorts of random stuff, and then you
Yes.
randomly said that. And so my brain didn't even go to Stargate like at all. I don't know
Mhm.
why. Now that I hear it and I was reminded of that, like it would. But yeah, my brain did not go to that at all. So I
But
would like,
this is the
yeah.
funny thing is that's exactly why I sent it because the conversation had nothing to do with Stargate. I saw that quote and I'm like, I'm just going to send this because that's exactly what's funny about it.
Oh my God. So I guess because of that happening to me, I would probably say context is important.
What am I going to go with? Because now I just said that and it didn't actually occur to me what I would classify it as. I'm going to go with only true SG fans will understand.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
But
very
I agree
true.
with you. I agree with you. Context is important. I agree with you that the context is important. But I also think in this specific one, it's from this fan favorite episode and it happens so many times. And I think most Stargate fans, like this is one of those things that they would recognize.
Except for me. Dun 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 dun.
But the thing is, as soon as I told you, you realized. But no, I
Yeah.
think this is kind of one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things because I'm not sure it's the context. I don't know. I would like actually invite people in the comments because What do you think? Is it the context that's important here, or do you think that this is something that's more of like a deep fandom thing?
Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, and also I think like if I remember correctly, like our group chat was heavily involved in like figure skating talk.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was like I literally like I think it was some I probably like it was probably like I send you the Instagram of like Ilya and his cats, and then it was like right after that this. So I would not
Yeah,
go to this either. I'd be like, huh? And it's like,
that's so
okay.
funny.
I'm pretty sure it was something ridiculous like that. Like it wasn't even, it was like so out of pocket that,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
So,
I think I want to thank Martin for getting all those quotes for us because I think those are some really good ones.
yeah, no, for sure. And I
Yeah.
think it kind of, because I didn't see any beforehand, it kind of also makes you think about the type of the use of humor in Stargate and then the use of how they do this and like what it actually means, like what is the implication on the fandom and how do because like you said, there's this quote like indeed, where it's
Hmm.
something almost instantly recognizable if you're a Stargate fan. If you're not a Stargate fan, it has a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
But then there's these ones like that are a little bit more obscure that kind of do require something. And I think like with this last one, the joke, I think it's interesting that both of us talked about the circumstances around the quote as being the thing that was funny. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was an interesting exercise. And yes, thank you very much, Martin, for coming up with quotes. It'd be fun to do this with Atlantis and in universe specifically sometime where we keep the categories actually and see.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
have
have
a,
a,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you were gonna say,
I was
I,
gonna say I just have a feeling that with like SGU that most of them will fall into the so deep category.
it's so deep, so deep. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just makes me want to think. Like, what is like the most quotes from Stargate Universe? What comes up if I search like quotes from Stargate Universe? Um, Stargate Universe quotes. Like, this is just IMDb, but like, let me let me see some. I mean, okay, the first one. Check it out. It's Matthew Scott, Nicholas Rush. What is it? Matthew Scott is some kind of animal. And then Greer is like, with an enthusiastic voice, is it something we can barbecue? So actually, that is funny. Okay, the first one is kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, that is like, okay. So, maybe we will be
Interesting.
surprised. Maybe we
Yeah.
will
Like
be
I guess,
surprised.
yeah, because I guess, you know what, that is interesting. We should look up SG universe quotes. Because yeah, I couldn't think of any funny ones just thinking about the show just because I'm so focused on the seriousness of all of it. But yeah, I bet you actually there are that I just didn't like
Hmm.
realize. Like I probably realized in the time, but you know, while I'm watching it, but it's not something that stands out in my memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting.
I wonder how much has to do with how well you know the characters too.
Mm.
Because, I mean, in this one, for example, like with Greer saying that, it looks like it's from an early episode. But now, having known Greer for 2 seasons, I would probably laugh at that more than in the first episode when I don't really know Greer. And so I
Yeah,
kind of don't know his characterization and I'm not really sure about, I think, and so I wonder if there's some aspects to that where you need to look back at them. Because also
yeah,
even reading like Undomesticated Equine's quote, like when you just read it and you don't know the character it comes from, like and you don't
hmm,
like it feels a little bit different. Um,
right, yeah,
so yeah, it makes you think about a lot of things that, I didn't really think about before. This was a fun
yeah.
exercise.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing with quotes is like you really realize like how much like the actors, make it what it is, right? Obviously, but like it's just kind of like, it's like if we're just rattling it off just like we're reading it out of a book, right? Kind of thing. And then like, we have the memory of how the actor said it, which is what makes it funny or which makes it a certain way. So it just goes to show, how good all of them are with these quotes.
Yeah. Also because we imagine it when we speak them. And I think I will honestly say, I think that's when I send you that one quote out of context. The reason it probably didn't register immediately is because you didn't hear Daniel Jackson's voice. And I
Yeah.
bet if I would have said it in kind of a similar way, your mind would have immediately gone to more of, oh yeah, that's right, Daniel Jackson said it like this, and then you would have known it. Because
Yeah.
it's like I was sitting there, it's like, anyway, that's how I feel about it. What do you think? Like it's the way he says
Yeah.
it that is kind of bringing it out. Whereas when you read it, you maybe read it in a different way. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
you're
for
absolutely
sure.
correct
Yeah.
on that. Yeah. But um, I would actually also invite people to put your own quotes in the comments and we will categorize them, or maybe other commentators will categorize them. But I want to know what are your favorite quotes and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.